Alhamdulillah, assalamu alaikum. So one of the most commonly asked questions, unsurprisingly, that I've been getting recently is, Abubakr, how did you do Hijrah? And when most people ask this question, what they intend is the mechanics. What do I mean by that? How did you get the residency? How much did it all cost? How did you make the money in the first place to be able to fund it all? Did you get your visa through a company? Did you get it through a job? Did you get it through buying a property? So on and so forth. And this stuff I call the mechanics. Yes, it's important to know, but I personally find that a lot of people, the mechanics aren't what's stopping you. It's something else. It's something that comes way before the mechanics, and a lot of people often overlook this or are completely ignorant of this. So what is this thing that I'm referring to? I call it your disposition. Now, some of you might be completely baffled. What on earth are you talking about? Let me give you a few examples, by the end of which hopefully it will be clear to you, number one, what disposition means, number two, what my disposition is, and hopefully even what your disposition is. So stay tuned until the end of the video, inshallah. So I started practicing towards the end of my second year in college. I had already applied for university, applied for the student loan, and when I started practicing, one of the first things that I did, alhamdulillah, was cancel my student loan application and cancel my university space. It was crystal clear to me that this was completely haram, it's riba, it's war against Allah, and I wasn't going to go down this road. Now, this caused huge, severe backlash amongst friends, family, extended family, and so many different opinions of people saying, well, what are you going to do without a job? What are you going to do without a degree? You have to work as a bin man, or, along those lines. And yet, for me, with all due respect, I love and, appreciate each and every single one of you guys, but ultimately, at the end of the day, Allah is more important. And what Allah thinks of me, it matters more to me than what any one of you think of me. Another example, not attending family gatherings or weddings where there was haram present, and my family are very, very close-knit, both my mum's side of the family and my dad's side of the family. So this caused a lot of problems because, as you can imagine, I'm not going to my first cousin's weddings, I'm not going to other people's weddings. And at the end of the day, for me, it was clear-cut. There's music, there's free mixing, there's other forms of haram, tabarruj, etc. that's involved. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to be attending. It caused a lot of problems. A lot of people were unhappy at the start, at least anyway, when it was new. Eventually they got used to it. Now I don't even get invited to these weddings anymore, alhamdulillah. Even, for example, with my own marriage, I made it clear to the family that I was marrying into that, look, at the end of the day, for me, Islam comes first. I will treat your daughter very well, I will love her, take care of her, etc. But ultimately, I love Allah more. Allah means more to me. So if you ever put me in a position or a situation, in a nice way, of course, if you ever put me in a position, sorry, just to kick the ball back to some kids. If you ever put me in a situation, by the way, yeah, it's like 9 p.m. here, there's kids playing, families having picnics. This is the beauty of living in a safe Muslim country. Anyway, back to the topic. If you ever put me in a position where I have to choose between the two, I'm sorry, but I'm telling you, I will definitely choose Allah and the deen 10 out of 10 times, inshallah. So stuff like, for example, getting a mortgage, I made it clear, I'm not going to be getting a mortgage. No matter what happens, inshallah, I will never get a mortgage. Will I buy a house? Who knows? But if I do, it will be the halal way. And that was another example. One last final example that I'll give is with my own wedding. I made it crystal clear once again. No free mixing, no music, no dolki, none of that nonsense. Another thing that was quite important for me was me being able to afford it, because I wanted to pay for it myself, as is the sunnah. I wanted to pay it as the man. I wanted to cover the cost of the walima and the food and everything else. So I made it clear. I said, look, I'm going to do it, and it has to be within my means, because I can't afford a wedding for 5, 6, 7, 800 people. I was 20 years old at the time. So alhamdulillah, in the end, I only invited my immediate family, my parents, siblings and their children, and that was it. And likewise on my wife's side of the family, it was the same. So all in all, probably about 100 people, and this caused a big hoo-ha, because, like I said, my family is very big. Sometimes our weddings go into the 4 figures in terms of attendance. And not only that, but we're very, very close-knit. So my mum had people messaging her saying, how come we didn't get invited, or we're not getting invited, etc. And my mum said, look, it's out of my hands. Like, you guys know what Abubakr is on, you know what his disposition is. So if you want to bring it up with him, here's his number, chat to him directly. And guess what? Nobody did. And like I said to you, eventually it gets to a point. By the way, my wedding, alhamdulillah, only cost me about £2,500. I paid for all myself: venue, catering, mahar, everything included. I even hired out, tables and chairs and stuff to make the women's side of the masjid look amazing. It looked like a venue. But all in all, £2,500. And people before that would have said to me, boy, you're crazy, that's impossible. But look, my disposition came first, then the mechanics came after. And that's the beautiful thing. Once people become aware of your disposition and they see you being consistent on it, you won't even need to tell them anymore. They themselves will already know, cool, there's no point in asking him for this, there's no point in bringing him to this, there's no point, because they already know what you're on. And to be honest, my life is made so much easier. My decision-making process is so much easier, because usually there's only actually one option, which is in line with my disposition. So now I want you to ask yourself, what is your disposition? What is at the forefront of your decision-making process? And I know we all like to think, yes, for me, my disposition is I put Allah first, I put Islam first, I put the deen first. But now look back at your actions. Back at your previous decisions that you made in your life. Was Islam really at the forefront of your decision-making process? Does your track record support that? And look, at the end of the day, nobody is perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. But having the right disposition allows you to make the right choice more times than not. That's the key difference here. No one's going to be perfect regardless of your disposition. But it just means that 90% of the time, or 95% of the time, or 80% of the time, for the overwhelming majority of the time, you will make the right decision because that's what your disposition calls for. Especially when the pressure is on, your back is up against the wall, things are looking sticky. That's when your real inner disposition really comes out. And ask yourself, what did you do in that situation? So back to the hijrah question. Look, for me, as soon as my wife fell pregnant with my son, it became so, I can't even describe it to you. It was like an epiphany. Like, it became so clear to me, I cannot raise my son and my future children in the UK. There is no way, no matter what happens, like, it's not happening. My disposition wouldn't allow it. I had zero idea. Wallahi, Allah is my witness. I had no idea of the mechanics. I had no idea where I would go, how I would go, how I would fund it, what would be the options, no idea whatsoever. But I knew there and then, I am out of this place. I am gone. And that is the beauty of having a disposition. The mechanics can come later. Allah will facilitate the mechanics for you if you come with the correct disposition in the first place. And that is where I find most of you guys are actually going wrong. You guys are jumping to the mechanics, but you haven't even developed your disposition yet, which is the foundation upon which the mechanics are then built. Look, yes, moving to the UAE does require finances. I'm not going to deny that. But there are many Muslim countries that don't, or at least not the same level of finances. And I know many brothers from all different walks of life, from all over the world, from the Western world, that have moved to countries like, for example, Morocco, Turkey, Indonesia, Malaysia, even Pakistan, because their disposition would not allow them to stay in the UK. And then Allah facilitated the mechanics for them after that. If you would like me to do a video on how to actually develop your disposition, because even myself, I'll be honest with you, I didn't realize this was a thing until very recently. People used to ask me, how did you do this and how did you do that? And I used to look at them and say, what do you mean, how did I do it? I just did it. What are you talking about? And then slowly I realized, I said, wow, there's more to this than I actually thought. So if you want to see a video on that topic of how to actually develop your disposition, let me know, inshallah, in the comments below. For those of you that have your disposition sorted out, have your finances sorted out, and would like to know more information about doing Hijrah to Sharjah and different areas, don't worry, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I will carry on making those same videos, inshallah, for you guys. Just stay tuned and keep an eye out on the channel. And finally, for those of you that have your disposition on point, or maybe you're developing it, but you don't yet have the finances to do Hijrah or move to the country that you want to move to, because like I said, Hijrah can be done to countries where finances aren't an issue. But let's just say you want to go to a particular country and you're unable to because of finances. I've got some good news for you. Inshallah, Imran will be doing a live webinar Sunday the 23rd of this month, 2 p.m. UK time. It's called 7 Steps to 7 Figures, and it basically details the 7 main things that we did that allowed us, with Allah's permission and tawfiq alone, to generate over $3 million of income through our various businesses over the years, alhamdulillah. And hopefully, inshallah, you guys will be able to benefit from there, and we'll see you there. Link is in the description to register. I promise you, you do not want to miss out on this webinar. Hopefully you guys benefited. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.